Good afternoon. Thank you, Michael. Today we have Michael Callejas from LA joining us. Thank you.
No problem.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. And I was enjoying the hockey game earlier.
I see you've got the jersey on.
Yep.
A diehard fan.
A super diehard Kings fan. So I'm sorry in advance.
Well, you know, the Vancouver Canucks, yeah, okay, I'm not going to go there because they haven't done so well. So how long have you been with USANA? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I mean, it's been 13 years that I've been with USANA. So it's been a long time. So to make a long story very short, I think, we all remember why we first got started in this type of business. And it's because we wanted more, and when I say more, it's just more than the routine. So for me, there was nothing wrong with my job before. I had a pretty good job. I was working a lot of hours, but that's what I wanted, so they weren't really making me work all these hours. I wanted to work a lot of hours. I wanted to get ahead. So I was working for a plumbing electrical company. I was doing that. I was doing like their customer service, their hiring, doing a lot of different jobs for them, some home inspections, stuff like that. And then in the end, I just felt like this is it, like where do I go from here, right? And I couldn't really see myself doing that for the next 10 or 20 years even. So I started looking to see what my options were. Now, my options in 2005, what were they, right? I could look for another job. I could go, get a higher education, right? Do something else. But for me, that's not really what I was looking for. I was looking for something that was not really like an income, but like a lifestyle. I wanted to live life on my own terms, right? I wanted to work my own schedule. I wanted to make as much money as I wanted to. And a lot of the jobs like that revolve around sales or things like that. And I didn't really want to get into sales, so selling real estate, selling cars, selling insurance or anything like that. Didn't really want to do anything like that. But network marketing sounded good. It sounded like there was some leadership involved, team building. I didn't really have to worry about the product or anything like that. So all of those things were positives for me. And I also saw the negatives too, like I had seen a lot of people try industries like this in the past. And, we've all have a friend that has, not done well with something like this. So for me, it was kind of like, I know the good and I know the bad, but there's more good than bad, so I'm going to give it a shot, right? What's the worst that can happen? So got involved and it didn't go really, really well for about my first year. I had hit some ranks in the company, like gold director, but it wasn't a solid thing. It was kind of like ups and downs, like a lot of like, I'd make $1,000 one week and then I'd make zero the next week, and that's not fun because you're trying to build stability, right? You're trying to build enough where you can walk away from your job and have some type of stability in your life. But after about a year, I finally found I found my groove. Second year, I made six figures, made over $100,000. That changed my life. So after making $100,000 in 1 year, that was life-changing because I was never used to making that type of income. And to make that type of income, I think you have to grow and develop as a person to a certain level. So not only did my income change, but I felt like I had changed. I felt like I was taking on new responsibilities. I still had a long ways to go, but I felt like I had grown as a person, to get to that point. I had to learn what commitment was, what sacrifice was, right? Putting fun, as a secondary thing. Like fun was not really an option after that first year, like it was, work was first, and I made that sacrifice. I made that commitment. I knew that's what it was going to take. All the books that I had read, that's what it said. It's going to take sacrifice and commitment. And that's pretty much it. That's my Genesis story with USANA. But it was life-changing after that second year. And it's opened up a lot of other opportunities for travel, independence, and also just having more of an entrepreneurial eye when it comes to other opportunities too, right? Like we have to keep our eyes open. And I'm not talking about opportunities outside of USANA. I'm talking about opportunities within USANA, right? Like within USANA, there's always a, how do you say it? You have to keep your eyes peeled for what's coming, like for example, when I got involved in USANA, one of the trends that was happening was there were a lot of younger people getting into the industry, and I got ahead of that trend, right? In 2010, there was a wave of professionalism coming into network marketing. That's when Eric Worre was using the whole GoPro all that, right? So what did I do? I started branding myself more as a network marketing professional, recruiting people who had careers, older people in their mid 30s. I changed my approach. So now I look at it, and I think that the opportunity within USANA and network marketing is we need to look at people that are younger, that have influence online, that look to do things digitally. So that's where I am right now. That's what I'm looking at.
That's pretty cool. So, I mean, your sacrifices definitely have shown and prevailed, as you are a 3-star diamond executive. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool, for someone who's so young, and I know you're young because you're about my age, if not younger, has done so well in life. And that's actually pretty admirable. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
So why did you choose USANA compared to any other network marketing company? There's a dime a dozen out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of network marketing companies, and don't get me wrong, I never tell people, like, if you're already a part of a network marketing company, I don't really bring them over to USANA. Like, if you're committed to something, stay in that company, stay committed. But for me, when I got involved in USANA, I had already seen a few other opportunities. So I had a little bit of a perspective, right? I was looking for something that was stable, right? A company that was publicly traded, so that I can look at their finances, look at their numbers, and just make sure that it wasn't a company that was going to be a fly by night. In this industry, that's one of the things that makes our industry look bad, is that there's a lot of companies that are here today and gone tomorrow. And nobody wants to do that. It hurts relationships. It hurts credibility in the industry. And unfortunately, it kind of destroys some lives in a sense, because think about it. Let's say you put all your eggs into one basket, right? You're all in. And after 2 to 3 years, you built up a business. And then on the 4th or 5th year, the company takes off. They're done. Like, they close their doors. They've made some bad decisions, bad investments. What happens to the distributors? What happens to all of that? So I never wanted to be making excuses for the company that I worked for. I wanted to make sure it was a company that had a solid track record, that was honest, that paid their associates on time, that, really cared about their customers and the quality of the product and the reputation. And USANA, of course I work for USANA, so I sound biased and all that, but anybody who looks into USANA is going to see that it does fit that criteria. USANA always does it right. They really focus on doing the right thing. And what I mean by that is just being honest about what they're doing. But they are publicly traded too, so they have to be honest, right? They have to show their numbers, and they have to really show what they're doing.
So in terms of the products, do you have any favorites that you use?
Yeah. I mean, I do take all the products. Of course, I'm an associate. I want to have something to say about each product, right? But if I have to have a favorite, I honestly think that digestion is a big thing for me. I'm a type of guy that I don't really chew my food too much, So I maybe
that's not a good thing.
I know. Everybody tells me, hey, slow down, chew your food. And, so I think I've always had a kind of like digestive issues, and, I've had them since I was young too. Like, I can remember going to the doctor and my mom taking me in. I always had digestive issues, like, it's kind of embarrassing, right? But, like gas, digestive issues, like other things. And, how do you deal with that? Like, I didn't know that you could deal with it in a holistic way. Not until I got involved with USANA. USANA has a lot of products, right? They have the Hepacil, they have the digestive enzymes, probiotics. One of my favorites is the Fiber G Plus. I think that I'm a type of dude that I don't eat that many vegetables. Like, right now I'm on a cleanse and I'm doing a lot of good things, but it's definitely not something that I do regularly. So where do you get that fiber, How do you get those 25 to 40 grams of fiber that are needed to have a healthy digestive system? For me, it's challenging. I don't eat, like I said, I don't eat that many vegetables, but USANA makes it convenient. So even when I've been slacking off on juicing or chewing my vegetables, USANA's had the solution for me for many years. And so far, so good. I'm a healthy guy. I've been to Sanofi Medical Institute. That's another reason why I chose USANA too. They really care about the overall well-being of people. And Sanofi said that I have a clean bill of health. So that's always good and reassuring.
That's always good to hear. Having a clean bill of health is always nice to hear. So now, you've been with the company for now 13 years, I believe you said?
Correct.
So what are your biggest learnings over the years?
Oh man, there's a lot. I mean, I think on a business level, I'll do two examples, right? I'll do on a business level and then on a health level. So when it comes to health, I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is, health is a lifestyle, right? It's not just taking your vitamins. It's not just, eating right or working out. Like, it's a combination of things. It's sleep, right? You have to drink water, plenty of water, obviously taking your supplements, micros, macros. So it's like health is a lifestyle. That's what I've learned. And for somebody who's on the go, you have to have things that are convenient to maintain that healthy lifestyle. So that's why I appreciate, once again, I appreciate the things that USANA does. A lot of the products are catered to convenience, right? With the My Health Pack, the single serve NutriMeals, the probiotic sticks, the booster C's, right? Like all of that, so lifestyle, health is a lifestyle. That's the first thing. As far as from the business side, what have I learned? There's a quote that Jim Rohn has, and I'll Jim Rohn it here, right? I'll drop two Jim Rohn quotes here, and hopefully that'll kind of sum up what I'm trying to say. But there's one that he says, affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. And I like that one. I really think that that's something that we can all relate to, right? Think about it, right? How many people have affirmations, especially right now, January, right? New Year's resolutions, those positive affirmations.
There's a lot flying around right now.
Yeah, for sure. But, the next step is that discipline, right? Like keeping yourself accountable. And that's never fun, Nobody wants somebody like on you, right? Like on your back about like, hey man, when are you going to finally get it going? When are you going to get your business together? When are you going to get your health together? And all of that external stuff, like it never really lasts. It's got to come from inside of you somehow. You got to keep yourself accountable. And that's part of it. So what I've learned over the years is that whenever I had a positive change happen in my business, there's a lot of faith involved, because you don't know how it's going to happen. You don't know like when it's going to happen or, all the little details. There's definitely a lot of uncertainty in this business, right? Like nobody enrolls thinking, okay, I have my top 2 people. I know exactly who's going to take me to the top. I know who's going to be my goal director in my business, Nobody knows that. So you have to have some faith, right? That they're going to come, but that's the faith part. But as far as like the actual disciplines day in and day out, I mean, you still got to go out there and do it, right? Like you have to set up the appointments. You got to talk to the people and you got to plant the seeds or at least let people know what you're doing. I think a lot of times people are like network marketing ninjas. Like how are people supposed to know what you're up to if you never share it, right? So for me, I think that I let people know that I'm an entrepreneur. I let people know that I'm involved in business and I'm always looking to do business, right? Or grow a business of some kind. So just keeping yourself, in the game, keeping yourself accountable with little things that you can do, and then having the faith that it's all going to work out. That's it. That's all it takes, really. It's going to take those things to make it happen. And I've learned it from experience, like it hasn't been just like this the whole time in USANA. It's been like this and then like that and like this. And, it's kind of been like that. So I've learned through all those ups and downs. That's where I picked up that wisdom.
That's interesting that you say that, there is the curves and all that we have with USANA as a business, but that also correlates with life. You'll have your ups, you'll have your downs and all of that. But like you said, faith is a huge component to all of that. If you don't have the faith, everything sort of falls apart. And that's what I love about USANA, that it brings that, it reminds us of that.
Correct. Yeah. 100%.
So now here's a question for you. So who would you say is the ideal prospect that you would want to work with?
It's there's a lot of training around that, and I found it to all be very helpful. So it's hard to kind of just give you the one answer, but I'll give you some tips. Okay, so there's 2 things that I like to teach associates that ask that question. The first one is don't prejudge. Don't prejudge, because even if you think your friend is a dud for whatever reason, there's the old saying that every dud knows a stud.
Yeah.
So don't prejudge anybody. You'd be surprised. When I think about some of the top people in my group, they came from someone who somebody didn't even really think to call about this business. but they just so happen to show up. They just so happen to like it and do enough work where they found a few people and they developed the business. So that's my first bit of advice. Like, don't prejudge anyone. Give everybody a chance, you know? Give everyone a shot. Like, let them see it. Let them decide for themselves. And if they flake on you and they're difficult and, you know, they're just not coming to the appointment, or they're not watching the video, or whatever it is, right? Whatever presentation you're trying to give them, you know, be patient. You know, sometimes people are not in that looking zone. So if they're not in the looking zone, just kind of put them on the back burner and let them know that you're there, right? I mean, don't burn a relationship, but, you know, let them know that you're there. I think sometimes people don't want to open up and let you know what their situation is, right? But remember, over 90% of people in this country make less than $50,000 a year. So if that's the case, we have to know that people are not financially set. I don't want to say that not financially independent, but financially set, you know, where if something happened, you'd be okay for about 6 to 8 months. Like if you lost your job, 6 to 8 months, no problem, right? I mean, you probably want to put yourself in that type of position where you don't have to worry if, you know, obviously things happen, right? Life happens. So if somebody's just not ready at that moment, I would say don't get frustrated, you know, just keep it there, right? I mean, people come around. Once again, you'd be surprised. Like this year already, I've been approached by a lot of people that are coming into my business this year, and it's been great, you know, but these are people that I talked to like 5 years ago. And so it's like, now they're calling me, right? And they're like, hey, you know, let's go hiking. Like I'm looking to get into something. I know you're still doing USANA. Like, yeah, I'm really serious about it. Let's sign me up. And I'm just like, how cool is that? You know, but see, that's all that labor, right? All that planting the seeds and not prejudging and doing all those little affirmations and disciplines throughout the years, where all of a sudden I feel like I'm getting lucky, but it's not really that I'm getting lucky. It's just finally all the work is paying off, you know? So I would say that's one big one.
Okay, that's excellent. That's huge. Now, if I were wanting to look, who's the right fit for USANA?
So there's an acronym that I share with, once again, the associates that ask that question. And I say NCDART, NCDART. And N stands for network. So somebody that has a network of some kind, right? Whether they're the leader at their, you know, for their basketball team, or their, you know, their fraternity, or whatever it may be, right? Like if they're a leader of some kind, like that person probably has a strong network. Next is credibility. C, somebody that's credible, because you might know somebody that knows a lot of people. Like I know a couple of club promoters, and I'm not saying anything bad, but just these particular ones that I can think of. You know, they're club promoters. They got a network. Like they know hundreds and thousands of people, but nobody trusts them when it comes to like a business decision, you know? And I was just like, man, I really thought this guy was going to do well, but he knows hundreds of people, but nobody takes him serious. Like nobody trusts him unless it's a party. People show up when he promotes a party, but if he promotes a serious business, nobody shows up. So credibility is key, you know? So I would take somebody that has credibility on their side. D stands for desire or determination. Somebody that desires more, right? Sometimes there's people that I know that have network and credibility, but they're comfortable, you know, they're not looking for anything else. And you can never push someone to want something that they don't already, you know, I've tried that in the past. It doesn't really work out. It's a big waste of time, in my opinion. I'd rather find people who want it. So desire, that's a big one. And then attitude, A, people that have a good attitude, you know, having a positive attitude, having you know, the attitude where they want to improve, a very patient attitude, you know, people that are willing to kind of fail forward, so to speak. Like you need a positive attitude for that. So sometimes people are just too negative. They just got a crappy attitude. You know, what can you do with that? You can mentor them, you can coach them, you can work through it. But if I find somebody that has a really good attitude already, that's a big plus. Next is resources. Somebody that has resources of some kind. You know, if somebody is in dire straits, what can you do? I mean, you know, you can turn it around. They can change that. And I'm not saying to judge somebody that's in a bad financial situation, because that could be the motivator, right? That could be the desire. But if you have somebody that has desire, a good attitude, and has resources of some kind, I'll give you an example. There's this girl in Toronto. Her name is Elisa Grazzi, right? And she's a mom, 2 kids. Her husband owns like a wedding business of some kind where they have like this beautiful like location where they host weddings. They have like 2 Rolls Royces. You know, he's got his own business, which obviously it's their business, but it's really nice to see that if they ever need a location to do an event, like they have that resource right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they host like team events and team parties, and that, dude, that's a huge resource. Now, some people say, well, oh, well, I don't have that, so there, I can't do that, right? It's like, no, but you might know someone who knows someone, right? Who knows someone like her, or that could be somebody in your team, or that could be a cross-line. I know Elisa does a lot of cross-line events. So resources are big, man. Like if you have somebody that has resources that's willing to use them and share them, you know, another person that I just enrolled, she has a social media following of over a couple of 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge resource, right? It's a network, but it's also a resource because she can promote it amongst other people online. And I think that's a big one, right? So network, credibility, desire, attitude, resources. And the last one is teachable, T. So if someone's teachable, that also helps because network marketing is a weird industry at times. You know, everybody's like, yeah, I've owned a restaurant for 5 years. I know exactly what I'm doing. But this is not like running a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with people. You know, you're dealing with people that have no business experience at times. You're dealing with people who are flaky at times, right? You're dealing with a lot of strange behaviors that are not really common in the corporate business world.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not teachable, you're not going to know how to handle those situations and those people. So teachability is huge. But yeah, that's what I would look for, those things.
The acronym, that's pretty cool, and that's a great way to remember it. And so basically that tells me that anybody who has desire or motive can do it. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher, a mom, you know, or you're working a part-time job or 3 part-time jobs. If you have that desire and you fit that, it's right for you.
Correct. Those are the ones that you can't really change. Those are the decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having a good attitude, that's a choice, right? Being teachable, I think that's a choice.
Yeah.
Right? Desire, I think it comes down to being a choice. So there are some choice things, but the other ones, like, you know, it's based on what you've done before that moment. But if you have desire, a good attitude, and teachability, I'll take that all day over anybody who has the network, credibility, and the resources.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. So now with the way that, you know, social media has sort of changed, I know you're actually running a Shopify program, which is actually cool. That's what I took, and that's where I actually got to know you better, was to build a Shopify store. But why take it on Shopify and why not do something else with it?
That's a really good question. And, you know, the first thing that came to mind was why I started this was because I felt that, you know, there were a lot of IT things that I had no control over when it came to USANA, like, you know, gathering data from people who clicked on my website, people who abandoned a checkout on my website. There was no way to track those people or monitor them. So there's some IT things that USANA is working on, and, you know, we know that they're working on it and they're going to solve it. But in the meantime, I felt like I want to plug that hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that I'm on top of it and I'm doing the best that I can do with what I have, as long as I'm following compliance and things like that. So that was the first reason why it started, but it's actually evolved into more than that, okay? When I look at why Shopify is such a big deal now, is because there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there right now. You know, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it, right? There are fake entrepreneurs or people faking till they make it or whatever, but there's also a lot of real entrepreneurs out there. People
Mm-hmm.
that have solid brands, whether they're models or fitness influencers or whatever, right? People that do makeup tutorials or, you know, whatever it may be. There's a lot of people out there, and the platform of choice for a lot of these people is Shopify. So whenever I'm working with somebody now who has some type of influence on social media, we're speaking the same language,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no like, let me tell you about USANA and this right and left and, you know, binary and, you know, the points go here and there. Like it's an easier language to speak to them, where I'm like, hey, you know, I have a Shopify store, you have one, here, add this product to your store and share this link. And you see what I'm saying? Like there's a new language that's being used amongst entrepreneurs in that space. So if you want to get into the digital marketing game, I think Shopify is definitely a program, a platform, and a language that you want to learn, especially if you're doing network marketing, because a lot of these people who or social media influencers, they're technically your competition, right? Because they're selling proteins, they're selling, some of them are selling vitamins, some of them are selling makeup, you know, products or skin products. So they're technically like your competitors. But if you use your relationship with them correctly, they could be collaborators, right?
Mm-hmm.
There may be a product that USANA has that they don't promote, and that might be all you need. Okay, so keep that in mind. Like, I'm working with somebody right now who promotes a lot of healthy eating, and she's open to promoting probiotics. She's open to promoting, you know, digestive enzymes. That's not a product that she has, but she promotes for other vitamins. She promotes for other proteins, but not digestive enzymes and probiotics. So that's my angle with her, and that's all we're promoting together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool with the Shopify store. It definitely opens up a lot of avenues and opportunities for everyone, and especially someone who's not so tech savvy. With the course, I mean, it's so easy to actually create the website. There's no coding, which I love. I love that. But it makes it so much easier. And for myself, like, I come from a social media background, so having this extra tool just makes it that much easier to converse with other influencers and other prospects.
Right. I mean, I think one more thing, and I don't want to leave this out, because, you know, as network marketers, we're business owners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a business owner, you know, thank God we're in a company like USANA that's solid, that, you know, it's $1 billion company, right? They have hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. Their stock is doing well, all of that good stuff. But for people that are, you know, let's say that you didn't choose USANA. Let's say you chose a startup network marketing company. I mean, there's a chance, like a high chance, like over 95% chance, like well over 95%, that company might not make it.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do? You know, like, I would always say the best thing to do is don't forget that you're a business owner. So you still have your own business, even if that company, but can you imagine if that company has all the data, all the contacts and everything? You got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have nothing, then you have no leverage. You have no strength. If that company shuts down, there goes your entire business, your entire contacts, like everything that you have. I would recommend having a store of some kind for yourself to protect yourself as an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
because you're partnering with the company. Like, I don't have that concern in USANA, but I'm talking about other networkers, right? You know, protect yourself as a networker. I've seen it happen multiple times. And I'm sure you have too, right, Fatima? Where companies come and go, man. And people end up, you know, they left with nothing in their hand. And it's like, can you imagine, what if they had a Shopify store? What if they were collecting contacts? What if they were collecting data from day one and they were building a brand of their own?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're still promoting the product of that company, right? But they're still building their own brand. And I think that's key looking long term.
It definitely is. And I've actually experienced that, you know, with 20 plus years ago, when the industry was just sort of starting to come to light. I had joined a company, and 6-7 months later, they were gone. So now I didn't get my pay, nothing. Like, it was just all gone.
Yeah,
and it's not a great feeling. Definitely
it's
not
common, and I think it will be more common in the next couple of years. You know, right now Shopify has a lot of new applications that are being developed where you could literally create your own network marketing company on Shopify.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you could literally have associates and associates of associates through your own Shopify account. You just need a product of some kind, and people can do it. So we're going to see more of that. But, you know, what does that do? It's still a risk, man. Running a whole company, easier said than done. You know, I've started a couple of businesses of my own. I can tell you the truth. It's not fun. It's not fun if you're the type of person that likes to be free and chill. It's not fun. So that's why I love USANA, because they let me kick it when I want to, and whenever I want to work hard and, you know, grow my business, it's there for me too.
And I see you got the beard going for the 180, I believe.
Yeah. So I made a commitment for 180 days. Yesterday I dropped the ball a little bit, but I'm back on today. And what I'm doing with this beard is I'm letting it grow because it's a reminder, you know, and it's like my own way to keep myself accountable. You know, like, I don't like having a beard. I've never had facial hair, you know, really. So this is as long as it's ever been. But I'm not going to shave my beard until I get to at least 15% body fat, at least. And once I get to that, then I can consider shaving my beard. I said I wanted to get it to 12, but once I break the threshold of 15, I'll probably shave my beard at that point. But until then, it's here to stay, and I hate it. So it kind of motivates me, and it pushes me to make better decisions at times when I'm feeling kind of weak. You know, like today I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna hit it hard, and I gotta basically make up for it all week this week. Really hit the gym hard this week and make nothing but good health choices this week. So that's why the beard is here.
Well, I gotta agree with you. Like, you look better without the beard.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That makes me feel good. People that tell me you look better with the beard, I'm like, so I've been ugly this whole time, you know?
No, you look better without the beard.
All right, that's good. That's motivating me. That's keeping me motivated.
And the Complete 180, it's a good program, and it is challenging for sure. And, you know, we are humans, and we do get off, you know, the bandwagon once in a while. And like Michael says, having that reminder, having that motivator to bring you back is what we always need. And that's one good thing about USANA, is that we all stick together. We all help each other out, you know, in times of needs or whatever. We're each other's motivators.
Right. Yeah, definitely a sense of community in USANA. And that's a big thing about network marketing that is underrated. You know, like, you know, when I go to church, I was just having this conversation with my cousin. Like, when I go to church here in LA, and, you know, like, yeah, it's a great community, and I love going to church. Don't get me wrong. It's a big part of my life too. But the community, like that one-on-one, you know, all the friends internationally, globally, and, you know, the relationships that I've had for 12, 13 years now. And it's been crazy. It's been a great community. I do feel that USANA is like my extended family. It really is. Like, it's an extended family. Like, whenever I show up in a country where there's an associate, I'll announce like, hey, I'm in this country. And then I'll get like 5 messages like, hey, you know, I'm in USANA. Like, you want to come hang out? I'm like, yeah, for sure. Like, it's really cool to have that feeling and that sense of community.
Well, do you have any closing remarks that you would like to share with our audience?
Oh, no, nothing that we haven't covered. I would say that, you know, be patient with this industry. You know, be patient with it. You know, I think a lot of times our pride gets in the way because we want things to happen now, because, you know, people are going to say, well, how long have you been with it? Oh, I've been with it for 2 years and you're not a millionaire yet. And, you know, like you get questions like that, you know, you'll get comments like that. Be patient with this industry. That's one of my closing remarks. Be patient with it. And then as an associate, what can you do? You know, put your ego aside. You know, I always say your ego is not your amigo, right? And it's true. I learned that early on in my USANA business. You know, I had a serious talk with one of my mentors, and he told me, dude, your ego is the most expensive thing you'll ever own. So if you think you know it all, like, you don't know anything. And it was true, you know, like it kind of goes in line with, if you could have everything you wanted being the way you are, then you should already have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You already know it, right? Then why don't you do it? If you already know it, it's because you don't know something, or you haven't learned a way to apply something. So I think it's always stay humble, always stay curious. Those are some big takeaways to close with. You know, stay curious. That's a big one. You know, it's hard to stay curious in life, right? Eventually life gets kind of predictable at times. If life's predictable, challenge yourself. Go learn something new. Go be a part of a different group. Do something, but stay curious. Always stay curious.
I like that. And I like your saying that your ego is the most expensive thing that you'll own.
Right.
It's so true. With your ego, you can't do nothing. And everyone at one point learns that in the business, whether it's like 1 month in or 3 years in, everyone learns it at some point.
Yep, I agree.
Thank you so much, Michael, for taking the time to do this interview, and we look forward to speaking with you all later.
Hey, no problem. Thanks a lot, Fatima. Take care.
Take care.
Go Kings, go.
No, go Canucks, go.